others.
The sentients must have latched the grid.
Tashi, I don't need your help.
Hello, Pixies! We are just a little over a week away until the new war drops on December 15th. Warframe's, I'm going to call it finale cinematic questline that will be wrapping up this current arc of content and cinema and lore for the game, offering new characters, new expansion, new looks into things and questions that we have had for years, hopefully finally being answered. Now, with this update is going to be a lot of other cool things too, including the Harrow Prime access and, of course, Caliban. So, we'll be talking a little bit about all of those things, but let's start with all things New War. What do you need to be ready? If you haven't caught up with the memo, you're going to need an Archwing, a Railjack, a Necromech, and of course your Operator. These are things that will be unlocked through various quests, starting with Forest Prize, Once Awake, the Archwing, Stolen Dreams, the New Strange, Natah, the Second Dream, the War Within, Chains of Harrow, Apostasy Prologue, the Sacrifice, Chimera Prologue, Rising Tide, and Prelude to War, which is currently labeled as the New War in game, but will be renamed to Prelude to War once this update drops, as stated in the dev stream. Now, a few other things to note. One, with the New War, if you've completed all your prerequisites and you're prepared, you will be getting a prompt before you can accept this quest. Once doing so, you'll be stuck in that quest until completion, and you will not be able to change your loadout, so choose wisely, Tenno. Have you thought about who you're going to bring? I'm going to be using my Limbo, the Shido, my Harrow Prime, and my Vinka. Now, as this is undoubtedly a sentient-themed quest, a few things to consider. One, sentients have, until this point, often had resistances, similar to our adaptation mod. This can make this enemy type a particularly difficult one for newer players. However, there are a few things that you can use to be better prepared and better able to handle the sentient incursion. One, the Shido, this sentient arm cannon, farmed from Veil Proxima anomalies, has the capacity to cleanse sentient resistances, making them reset. Along the same line of thought, you also have the Helminth ability, Zada's Whisper from Zaku, which can be subsumed onto any Warframe, adding Void Energy. This Void Energy is the inherent status that can cleanse sentient resistances, and can be put onto any Warframe if you've unlocked Helminth. Of course, there's also the Paracesis. The Paracesis, which is grabbed and built from the Chimera Prologue, this will also be able to cleanse sentient resistances. Finally, of course, you have Excalibur Umbra, who is given to you in the Sacrifice, and of course the Operator themselves. By either utilizing melee attacks or amp attacks, you will be able to cleanse the sentient resistances, resetting them. Now, if a lot of that sounded confusing, don't worry. Warframe has recently introduced the Tenno Guide. You can use this guide to help guide your way through the star chart and make your progression more streamlined. Speaking of streamlining, if you hadn't been aware, the initial costs for the Void Rig and the first tier amps, along with some other resources, have been lowered, making them more accessible and less grindy for newer players. The New War is going to be separated into 3 acts, all of which will be accessible and released on the 15th. This quest will not only be focused around combat, but also be going into a much deeper dive into lore, allowing us to explore the various factions in ways we haven't before. But the New War is not the only thing we have to look forward to this update. Coming with the New War is also Harrow Prime, who will be released with the Scourge and Nell Prime, and the Knave Prime Syandana, along with a dope, super incredible, mad sickening Operator outfit. Y'all don't know how excited I am for this. I'm so ready to be a Sith Lord. And finally, we have Caliban. Caliban is the newest Warframe to be released, and is the sentient Warframe hybrid created by Era. As per usual with the sentients, Caliban follows the theme of resistance, making his passive adaptive armor. Allies within affinity range gain increased resistance to the types of damage they are currently taking. Caliban's first ability is Razor Gyre, becoming a spinning vortex of death. Hold fire to accelerate the maelstrom, increasing damage. Then, target an enemy to dash towards them. Hitting enemies inflicted with Sentient Wrath creates a destructive blast. Sentient Wrath. Smash the ground, sending out a wave of destruction. Those not killed by the initial blast are helplessly lifted into the air where they continue to suffer damage for a short time. Lethal Progeny. Call on Caliban's sentient aspect to produce up to 3 Conquilists comrades to fight by his side and repair shields when not in combat. Fusion Strike. Converge 3 streams of raw energy upon a single point, causing a massive reactive blast. The fallout from the blast will strip the armor of all enemies that touch it. Caliban is a very survivable frame who looks to have solid amounts of damage and control between the likes of Fusion Strike, Lethal Progeny, and Sentient Wrath. He offers ways to not only maintain his own shields, which is incredibly important in a shield gating meta, stripping armor from enemies, and offering simple CC. I'm personally not going to talk about his damage potential, as I don't know what the scaling values of these things are or what their base stats will be, but just from those 3 abilities themselves and seeing the basic synergy, using Sentient Wrath to increase the damage of your first ability, using Sentient Wrath to set up for your 4th ability, creating a wider and more contained space for control, potentially subsuming off your first ability if it doesn't prove to be very damage efficient, and replacing it with another clumping CC to better get that armor strip. All of these options I can see making Caliban a very, very useful Warframe, and I'm excited to try him out. And let's talk about that sound design. Mwah. Chef's kiss. So, some final closing thoughts and opinions when it comes to Caliban. 1, it looks like outside of his signature axe scythe thing, I don't know what it is, but whatever that melee weapon is, there seems to be a skin that is going to be for assault rifles. As if we look at the right-hand corner, we see that the Caliban is equipped with a Stalta, yet the skin on it is definitely not the default Stalta loadout. And considering that it's in the same colors as Caliban himself, I think we can pretty safely assume that it's a skin that comes with the collection. Another thing to note, the first ability, if we take a very close look, appears to proc Slash in some capacity. Now, I'm not sure if this is going to be tied to the extra damage burst or if this is just innate to the Razor Gyre. I think we could guess it would be innate since it is Razor Gyre, so having Slash procs would make sense in that respect as well. And probably is just getting increased and or having a secondary damage type with that synergy with Sentient Wrath. Another thing to note, the Sentients are not infinitely standing, but seem to be on a cooldown system. They will remain and probably scale off duration off that in that case, while also having an HP pool, so it looks like they're also not immortal, and they do not stay forever. You will have to recast them every so often. Shouldn't be a problem, but we'll see how they scale with the rest of your kit, whether that's strength or what have you. Finally, I would like to note the insane range that Sentient Wrath seems to have. It is an expanding wave of energy that will CC and knock up enemies, kind of like a Rhino Stomp, but better. And you can see it used in this final room here. It almost covers if you're in the center of the room, I'm pretty sure it would cover from wall to wall. And I don't know if these are just the base values for that ability or if that's with scaling, but either way, there is a lot of CC potential right there. Even if it doesn't particularly damage very well, the CC that will bring is going to be insane. Finally, for you Helminth aficionados, as you're probably already guessing, yes, Caliban's second ability will be subsumable. Not a surprise considering the third ability is very obviously Caliban and the first ability is very obviously sentient, and the fourth ability is never an option. Anyway, I hope you liked this first look and insights onto Caliban and the new war, and I'll see you all the 15th. If you liked the content, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, hang out with us on Twitch, Discord, and I'll see you all real soon in the system.